Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. So, Tower of Greed, the latest edition in Throne of Liberty, and it sucks. This was supposed to be the next big thing for Throne of Liberty after a pretty decently big content drought, and they absolutely messed it up. So if you guys haven't tried it, it is a tower which has 50 floors, which is supposed to have random layouts for every floor, and it was supposed to have multiple puzzles and a tad bit of combat to go along with that. But after it was released to the global audience, it was very underwhelming. And calling it underwhelming is kind of an understatement at this point. So during the content drought that I talked about, they actually rolled out pretty decently good patches for the game, including balance changes and other quality of life improvements, which was not perfect, but it was actually improving the game little by little. So everyone was expecting something big with the new Tower of Greed, but ended up with a tower with 50 floors and no bosses, with a so-called randomized floors, which isn't even true, and a half-ass puzzle mechanic. So after trying out the tower, I feel like most of the players would have the same thought as me. Who was this tower for in the first place? Is it for the players that have actually min-maxed their build? Because the rewards are not that great, and whatever you get out of it, so there is another thing where you could actually get items that you could use to upgrade your artifacts or re-roll it. And keep in mind that you can only use this twice a month, which is not even enough. And the returns that you get for upgrading these artifacts are so minuscule that most people don't even care about it. So what about the other reward? You get unlock stones, you get other random stuff like artifact chests, rune chests, trait conversion stones, and other stuff. Like, you know, the special stuff. Even though these things are actually needed for a player to progress in the game, the amount of the rewards of these stuff that you actually get from the tower is so low that you could still be good without even running it. And considering how repetitive it is, it's not even actually worth it. Even if you look at it from a new player perspective, it is not worth it at all because the rewards, like I said, is bad even for somebody who is in the middle of leveling up, because you still get more than enough rewards from other content that you do in the game. I feel like this was one of the worst updates that have been released in a pretty decently long time, even though they have been improving the game, like I said, little by little. This was a major setback for all of us. It's just sad to see a game with so much potential, something that could have competed with the big hitters in the MMORPG market, go down so bad because the content that is released does not even satisfy the current players that are actually even playing the game. So with no more content until the end of March, we might be looking at another bunch of people leaving the game altogether because the content that is released does not even meet the expectations of anyone, even the most hardcore fans of this game. So even if you look at the other things that were added on with this update, such as the revamp to the artifact system, the revamp to the Amatoy expedition system, both of them are kind of lackluster. The Amatoy expedition system actually shows promise, but as it is right now, it's not even great because the only thing that you could actually use it for would be to collect resources that you could use to donate to the guild. Apart from that, you might get some materials to craft, but the amount you get is not that significant. You could actually go out and farm for the same amount of time and get way more materials, because most of these expedition times are around 4 to 8 hours, and they also did reduce the amount of abyssal contract tokens, which I am not too mad about because we don't actually use those too much anymore unless you're a new player and you want to level it up. So if you're min-max, you probably would have multiple weapons at level 200, and some of you might have leveled up everything to 200 and is waiting for something to come out. For them, it might not be that big of a deal. So unless they rework the Tower of Greed entirely, this is pretty much a disaster level content because no one does it, and no one will do it because the reward and the tower itself is lackluster. So in my opinion, what they could have done is to have just 10 levels rather than 50 levels and have boss fights at the end of every level, just like a regular dungeon. Just make sure the difficulty keeps on increasing throughout the levels, and just make sure that there is some kind of achievement for completing each floor. So let's say some team actually completes the first level, and they would have their entire party names on the board saying that these guys unlock next floor. To add to this, so unless somebody from the server completes a floor, so the next floor won't open. This kind of puts in kind of like a competitive mindset because we don't have that much competitive stuff in the game in terms of PvE. So the higher level, the more rewards you would get, and the fact that this is tied to the Calantia storyline, things like Chaos Prism shards could actually drop from this content and also make it so that each level that is completed unlocks a part of the story. So there is like 10 different parts of the story which could connect it to the next expansion. They would also have to make it so that clearing mobs while doing these levels or dungeons could reward you with some stuff. Add like a smaller reward such as 5% chance to drop unlock stones or something like that. This could also be added into raid dungeons, lower level dungeons where mini bosses would have a chance of dropping unlock stone, conversion stones, and all of those stuff. Because those things are still valuable regardless of what level of a player you are. Doesn't matter if you're endgame or a beginner, these things would help you a lot in leveling up and min-maxing your gear as well. I would probably make another video talking about how to improve on certain aspects of the game, but like I said, that's for another video. With that being said, even if you're the biggest supporter of the game, you still need to point out the faults of the game so that the devs can actually fix it, because the only way you could actually change it is when the community reacts to it. So if it's positive, they can actually add on to that, and if it's negative, they can actually cut short on that or change it entirely. So in my opinion, Tower of Greed needs a big rework. Same goes for artifacts. This is like putting Band-Aid that is expired on an infected cut. Hopefully the devs see the backlash for the recent update and make changes that are necessary to make this content actually viable for most people and make this game better. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to show some support, hit the like and subscribe. If you have any kind of suggestions or discussions that you want to have, leave it down below in the comment section. I will happily look into it. Peace out.